We want to put out a sense, a belief system. We want to redevelop our belief system and our patterns of thinking to ones that are looking at the future in the way that we want it to unfold. And that is quickly undone when you sit down and you start, saying words that are more negative, that are basically unveiling all of your worries and fears around money. So, it's one thing to feel them. You are going to feel some worry, some fear, some doubt around money. And, whether you have very little or a lot, that's the same. I mean, it really is. People with, seemingly a lot of financial well-being will still worry and have doubt around money. That is just something that we've built up those habits and patterns for a long time. And so the amount of money that you have doesn't necessarily get rid of that. Your relationship with money matters. I'm Michelle Perkins, and this is the Money and You podcast, where I will be breaking down your relationship with money, offering tough love money tips, and a money dating plan that will focus on lifting the barriers to success to help pave the way for better money practices and increased wealth. It's time to take control to live a limit-free life. It starts today. Hello, and welcome to the Money and You Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. Is that what I am? Yes. And I'm here today to have another solo show, a short one. And I'm kind of building a little on what we talked about last week. Last week we talked about your mindset and spending time with your money. Today I want to piggyback onto that a little bit, although it's perfectly standalone as well. About the words that you're using around money. Because when we talk about your mindset, you can't have a great mindset around money and be speaking about it in an opposite way. So that does not work. That is not aligned. And it just is really going to mix up your mindset more than anything. We want to have an empowered mindset around money. So if all your time when you get together with somebody, you sit down and you start talking and they start talking about their problems at work or how they're not getting paid enough, and you chime in and start telling them your problems and how your student debt is killing you and all of these things, while it's totally understandable that you want to share those things and you want to, vent and you want to get some understanding from somebody else, maybe you even just plain old want to complain about it because it's bothering you. Totally understandable. We all understand that. We all get it. We've all done it. But when it comes to money, you're sending this negative mindset, negative attitude out into the world with those words. And that is going to, unfortunately, damage your empowered mindset. And so it's kind of chipping away at any other work that you're doing when you sit down and try to feel good about your money and, feel like that you're putting out there the vibration, the ideas, whatever it is that you aspire to, that you want to be feeling, which is what we want to do. We want to put out a sense, a belief system. We want to redevelop our belief system and our patterns of thinking to ones that are looking at the future in the way that we want it to unfold. And that is quickly undone when you sit down and you start, saying words that are more negative, that are basically unveiling all of your worries and fears around money. So, it's one thing to feel them. You are going to feel some worry, some fear, some doubt around money. And, whether you have very little or a lot, that's the same. I mean, it really is. People with, seemingly a lot of financial well-being will still worry and have doubt around money. That is just something that we've built up those habits and patterns for a long time. And so the amount of money that you have doesn't necessarily get rid of that. Now, so it isn't a matter of, well, when I get enough money, I'll start speaking about it, in a more happy way. We need to do that now, because that's what leads us forward and helps us to manifest the future that we want. So to realize that, we have to be very, very, very aware of our words, and our words just fly out of our mouth. I have heard people who, it just makes no sense to me. They're kind of enlightened. They understand these things, and they'll still talk about money in this way, like, oh my gosh, I'm having so many money problems right now, or I'm so broke, or, I just don't know what to do about how to pay for something. So even people who know better, this is just so automatic. And I guess that's why I really wanted to do the show, because you might not, I'm sure you're not aware of how often you might be doing this, saying things to somebody else. You're saying them to yourself as well. So I think when we start changing how we speak to others and being more aware that way, it does make an impact and starts to naturally change the way we speak to ourselves. Because if you're catching yourself and trying not to speak about money in a negative way to other people, you're going to sort of automatically start catching yourself when you say these things to yourself as well. I guess you could do it the reverse. You could start talking within your own head around money in a different way and hope that translates to the way you talk to others, because you're not going, to want to do that. You're going to notice. So that's a good way to start, is by paying attention to one or the other. How am I talking to myself? What am I thinking about money? Am I saying things like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried about X, Y, and Z? Or are you coming up with solutions? Are you focusing on solutions in your thinking versus pain? So what we focus on a lot is pain and fear. And then we go out in the world and we talk to people about it, because it kind of makes us feel better if we discuss it, if we put it out there, if we see that our friend feels the same way. And it's not just us, it's them. The whole world is struggling with money. Sometimes, unfortunately, that's a terrible mindset, that the whole world is struggling with money and I'm just in there with them. That's not a good mindset, because that feels very trapping. It feels like you're stuck in a herd of people and everybody's worrying about money and you can't get out. So obviously these worries, these fears, these feelings are derived from the thoughts you're thinking. So if you're thinking, I'm stuck, I have the salary that doesn't pay for the things that I want and I can't get past it, that's not a mindset that you want to hang on to. And when you tell yourself that, or when you start telling your friends that, or your coworkers, that happens a lot within the workspace as well, then you are complaining. You're feeling the pain and you're sharing the pain with other people who then also start sharing. So then there's this whole buzz around how negative it all is. And you're not giving yourself an opportunity to find solutions. You're fixated on what you don't want, and you're not looking for what you do want. There is a solution for every problem, including money problems. And so what we need to do is talk in terms of solutions. So you sit down with your friend and they want to talk about, something that is, you'll start to notice when you sit down with a friend and they start complaining. I actually did this with a friend yesterday. I was totally aware. We were taking a walk on the beach and I just launched into everything that I didn't like about the week before, because I hadn't seen her for a week. And I knew exactly what I was doing. I don't typically do it, especially with her. And so at the end, I'm like, I'm sorry. That just all needed to come out for some reason, and I'm moving on. And then from that point on, it was just a conversation about how to do things better, how to find solutions to some of the things that had not gone well. And so if you're more solution-based than pain-based in your conversation, it's going to go much better. Not easy. Again, this is really an exercise that I would ask you to do if you wanted my advice, to spend a week or two just paying attention to what is coming out of your mouth about money. When you're when you're out in the world, when, whether you're with friends or you're just, at the bank doing something with a teller. I mean, what are you saying about you and your money? Very interesting. It's kind of like if you don't really know where your time is going and you track time. That's a really important thing to do too. If you want to think about time as money, very important to track time, see how you're actually spending it. Because we're all at the end of the day. I always say money, energy, and time are like three kinds of currency. They're all currency. So if you end the week and just go, gosh, I don't know where my time went. That's no different than ending the month going, I don't know where my money went. And if you're tired and you're just saying, I don't even know what I've been doing, but I'm so tired, all kind of the same. And what all of those are telling you is you don't know. You don't know what you're doing. So tracking it is super great. Anything that you track is, you just get so much insight. So if you track your time for a week, you'll see where your time is going. If you track your money by budgeting or, categorizing your spending and having a mechanism to track that, you will not be in the dark anymore. You'll know. You might not like what you see, but you'll know where your money is actually going. You'll know where your time is going. Same with your energy. Are you spending too much time with people who drain you? Are you, I don't know, working too late, sleeping too little? What is it? These are important things to know. The more we are aware of ourselves, that's really the only hope we have to change it. So if you don't track what words are coming out of your mouth about money, you really won't know. You'll think that maybe once in a while you make a comment, but not very often. It's kind of like snacking. Maybe I had a snack today, and really the reality is you probably had 3 or 4. Same thing. We just are unaware. So pay attention. See what you're saying about money. If you're saying empowering things, like I love to spend time with my money, I'm getting my money very organized, I'm really starting to pay down this debt. I was talking to a client and she was telling me how proud she was about this debt payoff that she was doing, and she was making that a priority. She really wanted to change some things in her business, which would have meant investing in it, but she said, no, I want to get this debt paid off first. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but the point was she had a plan, she was invested in it, she knew what she was doing, she was finding a solution to this debt problem that she'd had. And she was talking about it very positively, and I could tell how good she felt about herself in doing this. And so, these words, you can tell when people use certain words, they actually make themselves feel worse about themselves with the words, or they make themselves feel better. So we want to be focused on words that make us feel better and that send a message of hope to ourselves and to others. Misery loves company. We love to complain because somebody else will come in and go, yeah, and I have that problem too. I get it. I can go there as well. So then we all kind of like talk about our problems and talk about the difficulties, and for some reason it's fun. I don't even know psychologically why it's fun, but it is, or it's satisfying in some way. But the reality is we can do that with the positives too. For some reason we do it a lot with the negatives, but with the positives, you can empower somebody else. You can say things about what you're doing with money in a positive way with no pain attached, but only like kind of excitement about what this is going to do for you in the future. And guess what? You'll inspire somebody else. You'll get somebody else thinking, oh, well, if she can do that, maybe I can tackle this money problem. So, or find a solution. See, I just said it myself. You have to be really careful. It's not a money problem. It's something in your life that needs an answer, needs a plan, needs a solution. So I'm just going to leave you with that today and hope that helps you. Please start paying attention to, do you go out there and constantly say, oh, I can't afford this? Or do you say, I'm going to buy that as soon as I have X amount of savings, or I'm going to work that into my budget so I can afford to paint the house or whatever it is, instead of just sort of, going into what you can't do, what isn't working, what can't happen. Start looking at how you're going to either dismiss it altogether if it can't happen and not get into a story about it, or plan for it. How are you going to plan for it? Where's the solution? Just start tweaking your language just a little bit. Language is huge, makes an enormous difference, and this will shift your mindset. what you think, what you say, those things have to be aligned. And if you're working on your thinking, maybe you're meditating, maybe you're journaling, maybe you're doing things that are helping you to think in a more positive and empowered way. If your words don't match up to that in what you say in conversation with people, you're really sort of sabotaging yourself. So try to line those things up and work on them simultaneously and be really aware of what you're doing out there and slowly stop. This isn't an overnight, like one day you speak one way and the next day you're speaking a new way. You're going to have to pay attention. You're going to take one phrase out of your vocabulary. You're going to have to start switching things out slowly and give yourself some grace and some time and just slowly get better at it until it becomes a habit. Because right now, complaining or talking about your problems might be a habit. The other can become a habit too. It just takes time. So I hope you work on that. I think it makes an enormous difference in how you approach money and your mindset toward money. And as you know, that impacts your relationship with money. And if your relationship with money is great, your financial well-being is going to be much better and you're going to manage money better. Everything's going to go better for you in your financial life. So please try that and see how that goes. I hope that it goes well for you. You are more than welcome to reach out to me at michelle@limitfreelife.com and let me know. Let me know how it goes. Let me know what questions you have. I hope you'll share the show with friends if they need to hear this. Maybe you have a friend who complains a lot about money. Maybe that person needs to hear it. It's for their own good. And I hope you will use the information and transform your money life. You can share the show. You can give us a like or a review. And you can get more of my money tips and my information on your relationship with money by signing up for my newsletter, my blog. And you can do that by going to limitfreelife.com. All right. Thanks so much. And we'll see you next week.